So far this November, I've been fairly negative. I've talked about 2 episodes I didn't like. That isn't to say that I hate Nickelodeon or that even that I think a majority of their shows are bad. Quite the opposite, actually. I like a good chunk of this network's output. I mean, you got shows like SpongeBob, Avatar, and today's subject, Invader Zim, and the list really does go on. You got Morocco's Modern Life, Harvey Beaks was pretty solid. I didn't hate Legend of Korra. Now, I've talked about a lot of these before. Like, I talked about old SpongeBob before my Band Geek review, and I am sure that I will eventually get talking about Avatar at some point. But I want to talk about Invader Zim today because it's always kind of been a weird one to me. Specifically, it does a lot of things that normally I don't like in a show, but for some reason, when Invader Zim does it, it just works. For example, this is a very mean show, and normally I'm not a huge fan of super mean-spirited shows, but Invader Zim pulls it off in a way that it just works, man. It just works. Additionally, it can get quite gross, but it doesn't bother me as much. I think it's because of the writing style, honestly, and also the animation. So, without further ado, let's discuss my favorite episode, Backseat Drivers from Beyond the Stars.
Nickelodeon. Nickelodeon.
This episode begins with Zim trying to get the attention of his leaders, the tallest. I love the gag around these two only being leaders because they are tall. Like, as leaders, they are horrible at their job. But they're tall, so, you know, everyone just kind of follows them without question. And definitely one of my favorite gags in any of these kind of shows. Zim's pleas are very annoying, and they're annoying somewhat to the audience as well. Normally, this would be a problem. However, the tallest reaction makes it way funnier just because they are more annoyed than any of the audience members are going to be.
I was curious to see when you'd shut up on your own. But it's been 3 hours now, Zim. 3 hours!
You know, I relate to Zim here. Most people I talk to wish I would just shut up. But you can't let what others say affect you. You can't let what others say affect you, okay? Anyway, Zim has a super cool plan to take out the humans that he wants the tallest to see in person. This plan, of course, involves brain-eating parasites that require constant, vigilant attention to maintain. Of course, he puts his most responsible robot on the job.
Grr! It's me! I was the turkey all along! I was wondering what that turkey was doing there.
Yeah, this plan is doomed. For those who don't know, Gur is a model of robot who is designed to help prep a planet for invasion. However, Gur's brain is literally, canonically, made out of garbage. So he doesn't quite work for this job. In fact, he is remarkably dumb. He is a character that could very easily be annoying, but this show just knows how to work with that. They know how to keep him from being too annoying by making him annoying to those who deal with him, but his design is so cute and his idiocy is so endearing that only rarely will the audience actually be actively annoyed by him. Like in this scene, Gur wants to help with the mission. It's clear that he wants to help, but to the viewer, it's very obvious, it's obscenely obvious that this is an atrocious idea, like Cybertruck level of stupidity. Either way, we'll see how this plan works out. After this, we cut to Dib's dad, who is talking with Gaz about Dib.
What's your brother doing this time? He's not trying to raise the dead again, is he? Always with the dead, that boy.
I love Dib's dad. His voice delivery on every line is just amazing. In fact, it's another thing about this show that just blows me away, the voice acting. I do not normally bring up voice acting on this channel, and really I should. I need to bring it up more, because it is often an overlooked part of a show. But if any show does warrant specifically pointing out voice acting, Invader Zim is very much one of those shows. And half the reason for that is because a good chunk of these jokes are only funny because of the way the voice actor delivers a line. Richard Horvitz, the voice actor for Zim, is an insanely talented voice actor. He puts so much energy into Zim's lines. Like, half of them are yelling, but he does a good job of making sure it's never annoying. The emphasis he always puts on each line is so great. He also plays Billy in The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. And so, yeah, this guy has insane talent, because Billy is also another character whose voice acting really carries him. As for Dib's dad, he is talking to Gaz about Dib's constant talking to himself. And he explains that Dib may just be venting.
Oh, is that all? Daughter, some people like to talk. Your brother likes to talk about insane things. Maybe he'll become less insane if you listen.
I like Gaz enough in this show, but she is probably the weakest of the main cast in my opinion. Though, that says more to how good the main cast of the show is than it says about her character. Because this is a very good main cast, and she is still pretty fun. As a kid, I always saw her as a less funny Mandy from Grim Adventures of Mandy, and I still somewhat stand by that. However, she has her own charm in that she doesn't put up with as much bullcrap as Mandy does with Billy. And I keep mentioning the Grim Adventures. Maybe I should talk about that one as well someday. Getting back on track, Dib planted a tracking device on Zim's base. Basically, everything now is set up in place to ruin Zim's grand plan. What is Zim's grand plan? Force the tallest to see his parasite and destroy the Earth in person. Okay, Invader Zim is what I like to call an idiot world. It's a fictional world where literally everyone in it is an idiot. Zim is an idiot in many episodes because he makes boneheaded decisions, like just the dumb decisions. Say, putting Gur in charge of a parasite that needs constant monitoring. You'd think this would make discovering him easy, but nope, because all humans, aside from Dib and a few occasional exceptions, are also exceedingly stupid. This is not a criticism. It's actually a compliment, because they are all so stupid, it makes the viewer really not care what happens to any of them. And that's what you need when a show is going to be mean-spirited to someone. You need to establish not to care about these people. This allows the show to be far meaner than some other shows. Either way, Zim's plan turns out to be quite poorly timed because the tallest ship, called the Massive, is under siege from a resistance group. A powerful resistance group. Nay, the most powerful resistance group. The Resisti.
Did you say the Resisti?
Yes, the Resisti. Anyhow, we have come.
That's a stupid name.
Okay, also, the tallest are legitimately some of the funniest leader characters I've ever seen in all of fiction. The sheer incompetence and arrogance these two have is incredible. It really makes it clear that the Urkins have never really had much difficulty in doing what they do, because if anyone could put up any kind of resistance, they would not be smart enough to deal with it. So this episode turns into Zim struggling to maintain a plan with literally everything going against him. But, with that said, everything going against him is also entirely Zim's fault, which prevents it from feeling overly contrived. Even the most random mishap was set up earlier.
Get up! What are you doing? I'm eating mashed potatoes! Yes, and muffins.
Now, not only is this just a funny gag, because, it's just Gur delivering a funny line funny, but one could also argue that it was foreshadowed by Gur focusing on the turkey earlier. Gur's mind is on food, and when his mind's on something, that's going to be kind of what he's focused on for the rest of the plot. Dib uses an Urkin ship and tries to combat Zim from landing his masters on Earth. Of course, this does lead to a slight problem, as Gur has failed to keep the parasite under containment. There are a lot of different elements that it flips between. From Zim controlling the Massive, Dib counter-controlling it, Gur trying to maintain the friggin' parasite. It's a lot. Oh, and also the Resisti in pursuit. Almost forgot that. So much I'm forgetting things. In a lesser show, some of these elements would either be cut out completely or completely botched. But here, it works well because the flow of the story is so smooth and the jokes are really well written. The flow of the story here, I want to point out, because I mentioned it in my Squid Ferratu video, how the pacing and plot prevented it from working as well. A lot of its problems came down to just stuff happening. It had too much going on that didn't connect. This is how it's done. This episode is how you write a comedic story. You still have a plot, and you can have a lot of things even happening in it, but everything has to connect and run smoothly. See, this is what separates Zim from other shows. It has all the comedic values of a typical comedy, but it can still intertwine sci-fi stories into the mix, and they don't contradict each other. They combine really smooth. Most shows can deliver on one or the other. Zim does both. And this is a true feat of writing that only a few shows can claim. So, how does this episode end? Well, the Tallest figure out what is going on and switch their power cell with that of the Resisti. The Resisti have an interesting solution to this.
Activate the Shrinky self-destruct. No alien thieves are gonna steal the secrets of this ship.
Shrinky self-destruct activated!
Dib gets booted out of the alien ship after Zim reminds it that it is an Urkin ship, and a human is sitting in it. The ship, being a racist, doesn't take this very well.
Defense systems activated! Intruder detected! Get your filthy alien meat out of the cockpit!
What the?
Also, the interaction between him and Zim here is hilarious.
Watch, Dib! Watch as I bring a royal audience to the downfall of the human race!
I don't want to watch that.
Oh, okay. Wait! That's too bad!
As for Zim, well, I did say leaving Gur in charge of the parasite was a terrible idea.
My brain! My brain! Rehearsing new things!
I'm going to throw up!
And that was Backseat Drivers from Beyond the Stars. A very good episode from one of my childhood favorites. Invader Zim was one of the shows that I watched and liked as a kid. I never really rewatched it because I was worried that it wouldn't hold up. However, I was pleasantly surprised. It held up incredibly well. Now, with Nickvember coming to a close, I do think it's time we revisit an old friend. We're going to be talking about the animated spin-off of Henry Danger, which, for those who are unaware, what is probably the show I've covered the most on this channel, aside from maybe Star Wars Force of Evil. So join us next time when we talk about The Adventures of Kid Danger, a truly terrible show.